Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I had been desperate for a break from everything. Emails, calls, deadlines, the constant buzzing of life. So, I rented a small cabin deep in the Vermont woods. No Wi-Fi, no cell service, no distractions, just me, the trees, and what I thought would be a quiet weekend. The drive had been long, winding through narrow roads flanked by thick pine forests. As I pulled into the gravel driveway, the cabin looked like something out of a postcard. Rustic, charming, with a stone chimney and a wide porch. I unpacked my bag, lit the fireplace, and settled into a leather armchair with a book. It was peaceful. Too peaceful, maybe. Night fell quickly. The forest around me grew still. No owls, no crickets, just an almost perfect silence. I poured myself a glass of whiskey and stared into the fire, feeling the tension in my shoulders slowly ease. That's when I noticed it, my reflection in the large front window. At first, it was normal, of course. I shifted in my chair, and it moved with me. But then I blinked, and my reflection didn't. It stayed perfectly still, staring at me. Its eyes were locked on mine in a way that felt wrong, almost hungry. I laughed nervously. Just a trick of the firelight, I muttered to myself. Maybe my mind was playing games after a week of stress. I sipped my whiskey and tried to ignore it, but then I noticed something that made my stomach twist. The reflection began to smile, slowly, deliberately. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was wide, stretching across its face in a way that no human mouth could. And it wasn't just smiling. It was looking at me with a knowing, calculating intelligence. My heart pounded. I stood up and took a step back, but it didn't move. It just continued smiling, watching me, almost mocking me. And then it raised its hand, not in sync with me, but on its own. A wave, a casual, almost polite wave, as if saying, "Hello, I've been waiting." I ran to the door, flinging it open. The cold night air hit me, sharp and bitter, but the door wouldn't budge. I pulled, twisted the handle, kicked at it. Nothing. Panic set in. I turned back to the window, and my reflection was gone. Just a normal glass, dark and empty. I thought maybe it had been my imagination. Maybe I had drunk too much whiskey. I tried to sleep, telling myself it was over. But every creak of the cabin made me jump. Every gust of wind against the window sounded like a whisper. And then, around 3 in the morning, I saw it again. Not in the window this time, but behind me in the shadows of the cabin. A shape, moving slowly, impossibly, standing in the corner of the room. I froze. The fire flickered. The shadow didn't move, but I could feel it, watching me, breathing me in. I didn't know what to do. I whispered my own name, hoping someone, anyone, would answer. Silence. The shadow stretched, elongated, creeping along the wall like ink and water. I wanted to scream, but my throat felt like it had turned to stone. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it was gone. Just like my reflection, I stayed huddled in the armchair, clutching my coat, until the first rays of dawn slipped through the trees. I cautiously approached the window, expecting it to be normal. The glass was cold and smooth, but there was writing. On the condensation, scrawled in a hand that wasn't mine, were the words. You shouldn't have watched me. I bolted. I left everything behind. My bag, the fire still smoldering, the cabin, the woods. I didn't look back until I was on the main road. And even then, the memory of that smile, that wave, haunted me. I've never gone back, and I never will. Every mirror, every window I see now makes me uneasy. I check reflections constantly, just in case it's waiting for me, somewhere, smiling, waving, and watching. And I know one thing for certain. It isn't bound by that cabin anymore. It's patient, it's clever, and it knows I saw it. Sometimes at night, when I think I'm alone, I catch a glimpse of it in my own window at home. And I swear to God, it's smiling. Story 2. I never believed in haunted places, ghosts, spirits, things that go bump in the night. Those were stories people told around campfires to scare each other. That was before I rented the cabin in Oregon. Before that weekend, I thought I knew fear. I was wrong. It was supposed to be simple. 3 friends, a small 2-story cabin tucked into the woods, no neighbors for miles, no distractions. Just a weekend to escape work, responsibilities, and the city. The cabin was perfect, or at least it seemed perfect when we first arrived, though it smelled faintly of pine and old varnish. The windows were large, letting in enough moonlight to cast shadows that danced along the walls. We spent the first night drinking cheap beer and telling ghost stories, laughing at the ones we thought were ridiculous. Around midnight, everyone went to bed. I was on the ground floor, in the living room that had been converted into a makeshift bedroom. My friends had taken the upstairs rooms. I was alone, wrapped in my sleeping bag, staring at the ceiling, thinking about nothing in particular. And then I heard it, a soft, deliberate footstep, not a creak in the old floorboards, not the wind rattling the windows. A footstep, upstairs. I froze, telling myself it was probably one of my friends getting a drink of water. But then it happened again, and again. Slow, heavy, purposeful. Footstep, 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 circling above me, as if whoever, or whatever, was up there was walking around the entire second floor. My heart began hammering in my chest. I told myself to calm down, that this was fine, that I was being paranoid. Then it hit me. The second floor wasn't supposed to be used. The listing had mentioned it. Locked off for repairs. Empty. Completely off limits. My stomach twisted. There was nobody up there. Nobody, human, at least. The footsteps stopped. Right above me. I could feel the weight of whatever was pressing down through the floorboards. My legs went stiff. I couldn't move. I wanted to scream, but my voice got caught in my throat. Then came the voice. Low, raspy, almost a growl. Directly above me. Why are you in my room? I swear to God. I felt the words crawl under my skin. They weren't just spoken. They were pressed into my mind, like fingers digging into my skull. I don't remember thinking. I only remember reacting. I bolted. The living room door slammed behind me as I ran up the stairs, nearly tripping over the rug. My friends were already awake, their faces pale, wide-eyed. Did you hear that? I gasped. They had. Everyone had. But they hadn't been upstairs. Nobody had moved. The footsteps, the voice, it was only above me. We didn't argue. We packed in silence, throwing clothes, jackets, anything we could grab into bags. None of us spoke another word until we hit the car. I kept looking back at the cabin, thinking maybe I'd imagined it. Maybe the fear had made my mind play tricks. But then I saw it, a shadow moving across the top window, slow, deliberate, just for a moment before it vanished. We left before sunrise. I haven't been back. I won't go back. I tell people it was probably a raccoon, or a loose shutter, or the wind. My friends tell me the same, but I know the truth. The second floor wasn't empty. It had never been empty. And I know one thing more. Whatever it wasn't human. Even now, I wake up sometimes, in the middle of the night, hearing soft footsteps circling above me. I tell myself it's just a dream. It isn't. I've learned something I wish I hadn't. Some places, they remember. Some places they wait. And some places they don't like visitors. I visited that cabin once, thinking I could face it, maybe laugh at it now. The driveway was overgrown. The windows were dark, boarded up. But I swear, when I looked at the second floor window, I saw a face. Not fully formed, shadowy, but with eyes that pierced through me. And for a split second, I felt it smile. I never stayed for another weekend alone. I never rented cabin again. And every time I hear footsteps in my own home, I check. I always check. Because now I know some footsteps aren't meant to be ignored. Some footsteps aren't human. Even writing this now, I hear them. Slow, heavy, purposeful, upstairs. And I know they're waiting. Story 3. I had always been drawn to the mountains. The way the trees stretched so tall they seemed to scrape the sky. The way the air smelled like pine and rain and something old, something forgotten. When I found the listing for the cabin in Colorado, I felt like it had been waiting for me. The photos showed a small, rustic cabin nestled in the woods, smoke curling from the chimney, sunlight dappling the porch. No Wi-Fi, no neighbors for miles. Perfect. Exactly what I needed to escape the world for a few days. I arrived late afternoon, the sun hanging low behind the peaks, casting long shadows across the dirt road. The cabin was even better in person. The wood smelled warm and earthy. The furniture was old but sturdy. I ran my hand along the surface of the dining table, feeling the grooves and knots in the wood. I unpacked my bag, set a kettle on the stove, and sank into the quiet. It wasn't until I turned toward the living room that I noticed it. A small wooden door, set into the back wall, almost hidden by shadows. I swear, I had never seen it in the listing photos. It wasn't the kind of door you'd expect, a storage closet or a pantry. No, this door looked older, ancient even. Its wood was darker than the walls, almost black in the corners, and the brass handle was tarnished with age. My pulse quickened. I tried the handle. Locked. The door didn't budge. I stepped closer, pressing my ear against it. Nothing. Just the faint creak of the cabin settling. I laughed nervously, muttering to myself about the owners probably using it for old tools or cleaning supplies. Still, curiosity gnawed at me. I tried to push harder, twist the handle, rattle it. It wouldn't open. Night fell faster than I expected. The shadows in the cabin seemed to lengthen unnaturally. I lit a lantern and tried to distract myself with a book, but sleep didn't come. Around midnight, I heard it, a faint scratching sound, almost imperceptible at first, like fingernails tracing the grain of wood. I froze. The sound came again, slower, deliberate. I told myself it was an animal, a raccoon, or a stray cat trapped inside the cabin. Then came the growl, low, guttural, vibrating in my chest. My heart slammed against my ribs. I grabbed the nearest heavy object, a lamp, and crept toward the door, hands shaking. The scratching continued, but now was accompanied by a thump, like something pressing hard against the other side of the door. I whispered, "Hello." My voice sounded strange, small, swallowed by the silence of the mountains. No answer, just that growl, now louder, closer, filled with something old and angry. I spent the rest of the night sitting in the corner, eyes fixed on that door, the lamp held like a shield. Every shadow in the cabin seemed alive. The scratching and growling continued in waves, starting and stopping, as if whatever was behind the door was toying with me, testing me. I didn't sleep. I barely breathed. Morning light brought no comfort. I approached the door, half expecting it to vanish if I blinked. I reached for the handle, and it wasn't there. The door had disappeared. The wall was smooth, painted the same faded brown as the rest of the cabin. I pressed my fingers against it. Nothing. No seam. No keyhole. Nothing. My stomach turned to ice. Had I imagined it? The scratching? The growl? I tried to explain it to myself logically. Stress, too much isolation, my mind playing tricks. But that night I woke again. The air was cold, unnaturally cold, and the darkness seemed thicker than before. I felt it before I heard it, a presence behind me, breathing close. I tried to move, but my limbs wouldn't respond. And then I heard it, right in my ear, whispering, low and deliberate. "You found it. Now I've found you." I bolted upright, heart hammering, stumbling out of the cabin into the pre-dawn light. I didn't pack properly. I didn't look back. I drove for hours, the forest shrinking behind me, my hands shaking on the wheel. By the time I returned to civilization, I told myself it was over. I would never go back. But sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I feel it again. Not behind me, not in the shadows. Inside me, a presence, patient, waiting. And sometimes, just sometimes, I swear I can hear a scratching, faint but deliberate, coming from the walls of my apartment. I don't know what was behind that door, and I don't think I ever want to. All I know is this: some doors are meant to stay closed, and some things, once found, never let you go.